Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Good evening and welcome to the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast. We're back, and I think there's only one thing to say, boys. Championes, championes, ole, ole, ole. We did it. We beat them. How are we all feeling?
Champions, we know what we are.
I thought this would sum it up quite clearly. I don't know if it's going to play now.
Yeah, that was a really good. I love that.
I'll pause it now.
Yeah, no. Do you know what? I was rewatching that clip back this morning when I shared it on Twitter. I spotted myself with the flag, and it cuts off just before the last line. And it wasn't me that was imagining things when I was standing in the ground. So I'm quite relieved about that.
Twice they cut it off. Twice they cut it off.
I only noticed it once because I only heard it once. I probably wasn't paying attention, but I think they felt a bit dirty playing it in South London. You know, North London song. You know,
should have sung right all over that instead.
Exactly.
Could have been London Calling.
Yeah, actually, they did that. Didn't they do that for the beginning? Didn't they play, or was it one of the songs?
Yeah, London Calling was playing at the end as well, which was really good. But yeah, no, I really did enjoy seeing you guys the other day. It was a really good day. It was kind of unplanned, but kind of planned sort of thing. I knew Matt would get down there nice and early. We've got all the face paint going, smell of the fast food. Saw Vinay. What's her name? Sanderson. What's that? I've forgotten her first name. Leanne Sanderson as well, which was good to see. Mido was back down there with Viv.
Yeah. Proper fan zone like the good old Euros. That was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was tiny compared to the England ones though.
With the mascot dance off as well. Gunnosaurus mate came along, said hi, which was nice.
Yeah, Gunnosaurus as well.
Good to finally get photos.
And then for some reason, the Crystal Palace mascot was walking around, which was a bit odd for me, and I don't understand that quite. But
yeah, it's interesting that Chelsea got two mascots. One for their women's team and one for their men's team. They have a Stamford and a Bridget, which is a unique sort of.
They got two lines. So that works.
Yeah. So the thing is, can you have what's the female equivalent of a Gunnosaurus? I mean, what's the
a Gunnosaurus? It could be gender neutral.
Yeah. Another Gunnosaurus.
What would you change though? Would you change? I suppose the head would just change a little bit, make a little bit.
I'll take off his cap and give her a bow.
Yeah, or turn the cap 180 degrees. So it's like, which one's over the front and the back or something, or give her a waist strip or something. I don't know, worth looking into. But of course, the dance off was not the major competition. Apparently, Gunnosaurus lost the dance off, which in my mind, well, firstly it was 2v1, which was unfair. But in my mind, it was a case of, well, we lost the battle, but we won the war. There was a bigger competition, which they triumphed in.
Bear in mind, this is the mascot that won the world's best mascot a couple of years ago.
Oh, Gunnosaurus.
Yeah.
Oh, quite rightly so. There is no one better.
I love that story.
Definitely.
That story is so fantastic. The fact that it was just drawn up because they needed a mascot.
Yeah, a kid made it. And so you think of some of the really bad mascots, like the Lisa Simpson lookalike from.
Yes, Scotland.
And I think West Brom have got a fridge or something. Just really like.
I didn't know Harry Maguire had a new job. Yeah, no,
Indeed.
sorry guys, I couldn't help myself there. Back to the women's football.
It's absolutely. I was going to say, what it just, I thought the occasion was great. I thought we was a sellout, which, when you have Arsenal fans turn up, it does help because, we do come in numbers. And I think we did make our voices heard, which was good to see. And good to see some of us did make it onto the TV coverage. Matt was there waving his flag. You can see.
I don't know about that. I'll have to watch it all back because I haven't seen it.
I think it's the first, just before kickoff when they're paying the fans, and there's you wave.
Right.
So you're there, and I did catch out getting a bit too over passionate. Richard Keys will be having words, I understand. So I've got to.
Yep, so you better be careful. Someone reported celebration police on Twitter. They did dispatch all units to the Emirates on Saturday, so
Yeah, well, they're cracking down on us now, aren't they? We might just get on with the game. What a game! I mean, wow. I don't
definitely.
Know where should we begin?
I think we better start with the old Sam Kerr goal. I mean, 2 minutes in, it was just like, I was standing there with Lucy. Lucy said, it's been a whole 18 seconds and they haven't scored. 2 minutes later, thanks for that. I'm going to blame you. She's probably going to kill me for saying that. But I looked at her and I thought, do you know what? I saw a Sky interview day before the game. And it's one of her favourite places, Wembley. She could score against anyone in a final. Who would it be? Arsenal.
Of course, Arsenal.
So you knew it was going to happen.
Yep.
I'm sorry. She does it. She knows we don't like her. And she's just one of those players.
It is
extremely talented.
Very lucky as well. The amount of times that she gets a little bit of luck here and there is ridiculous for a striker.
I think
if Stina had all her luck, then she would probably be top goal scorer at the moment.
Yeah, no, exactly. But
isn't it?
That reminds me, boys. I went to the under 21s game last night, and you know we make jokes about Stina being offside.
Yeah,
I saw triple the amount of offsides from Arsenal. From what Stina gets in one game, triple, and I have I couldn't believe it. It must be an Arsenal thing. Do we not know the offside rule?
No, I think it's simply more that the Arsenal with attacking is obviously breaking past the last defender, and the way you counter that is a high line push up. So we're jumping ahead slightly, but Stina in this game did have a goal chalked off for offside. But when you watch the replay, I don't blame Stina for that. Stina is pointing where she wants the ball. Steph is just too slow in the delivery.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating because I really wanted that one to go in because it would have been nice if she got a second goal. And it was really good.
Yeah,
really good and everything. The Sam
completely. But I was watching the replay. I kind of slowed the BBC iPlayer down. Millie Bright is very smart. She just stood. She just moved back.
Yeah, that's the thing.
She saw she was the last person. She just moved back. Done. Cancelled. So she technically saved their bacon just by taking 2 steps back.
It's the George Graham back 4 offside trap, moving up and catching him, and that's how you do it. The Sam Kerr goal, Matt, I think I understand what he means, because Sam Kerr can sort of get a high return rate on a low XG, but that's just because she's clinical, and that's her talent, that she can take a half chance, and that is and just make it a goal. I mean, it did feel like a bit deja vu, although in comparison to other Arsenal matches that happened at the weekend, it wasn't the quickest goal scored against us.
Thankfully.
It was a bit slow by comparison, but it was an element of deja vu. Oh, it's the Sam Kerr again, early goal, and then it's going to go for that. I was thinking, we were all there. Well, I think most of us there for the FA Cup final when Frank Kirby did something similar, and it's here we go again, and it happened right in front of me and Matt, and it was pretty much Chelsea had the ball. It was Wrighton on the wings, targeting our right side. Obviously, we had Moritz come in instead of Wienreuter. We had McCabe on the right. And it looked like that was going to be their avenue. We know how Chelsea play. They sort of flip between the back 3 and the back 4. They've lost the likes of G. They don't have a G anymore in the midfield, so their strength is on their width with James and Wrighton. and Brighton's bombing on. You're thinking, here we go, crosses in, Kerr will head them in for fun, and you've got to say to it, it's a brilliant header in off the crossbar. The cross from Brighton, I mean, it's undefendable. It's a brilliant ball, and the only crime we're guilty of is not closing it down and preventing the delivery. But the delivery is so pinpoint. I don't blame the fact that I think likes of Leon and Rafa and Manu got caught out. It is straight on the money, and it's just a brilliant header.
Definitely. I mean, I was on the side where it went in, so I was like, good header, but it doesn't help my team. So I don't want to say it's a good goal. Do you know what I mean?
Taking away my Arsenal bias aside, I can appreciate that the technique there was great.
100%. The thing is, if you look throughout the game, they did that a couple of times. They were exact carbon copies.
Yeah.
Even the commentator said, and I looked at it and I pinpointed the minutes and I went back. And they were identical, but 3 times. But the other 2, Sam Kerr just couldn't get any direction on the ball.
Yes.
And that's where it kind of played in our favour. And it went either Manu caught it or it went wide.
So the second one is, I think, because we're going to get into obviously Arsenal's character, but Chelsea had one more chance before the game turned. And that was, again, it was Wrighton getting to the ball, just got the ball in. And I think because Brighton was on the stretch, I don't think the delivery to the box was as good. And so
I think she kicked it just off the line before it went behind the goal.
So Kerr's,
that would have been just in front of you two where you were sitting, wouldn't it?
Kerr was stretching for it, got it on target, but it was a very tame effort, and thankfully it was straight at Manu. And if it's 2-0 from there, that's 2 attacks, 2 goals, like what we saw at the weekend. And you at the moment, then you just it's damage limitation, and it's never loss. But what I loved about this Arsenal team is the character they showed, that they didn't let the goal affect them. They didn't let it, because they knew, and this is the miracle of when you play 2 teams back to back weekends. Very rarely you'll win both of them. You'll win one, and the other team will win the other one. It happened with the Man City with the League Cup and the WSL game, and it's happened. Yeah, and it happened again, and it's the same. I'm saying it to some friends in the pub about when we had Liverpool. When we had Liverpool 2 weekends in a row, one in the FA Cup and one in the league, we lost one, but we won probably the more important one. And in both cases, in our double headers, we've won the more important games, the ones that are crucial. And I think much been said about the fact that Chelsea played the same team, which just basically, we had basically a dress rehearsal at the weekend of, how to beat Chelsea. And we did a lot of good things. We just weren't clinical. But what was the beauty now is that Ideval could then go back and go, right, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What do we need to work on? And he even said in his post-match, when we saw Chelsea play the same team again, great, we're prepared for this. And all it was a slight player tweak with Veenroyd and Maritz, and I think we can all agree those 2 are pretty interchangeable. They're just as good as each other.
The thing is, I was quite pleased to see Maritz there.
Yeah.
Rather than Laura, because Laura gets outrun. Well, they both got outrun, but I just feel a bit more comfortable with Maritz being there when coming up against Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, Veenroyd has had an amazing,
100%.
amazing time there, but we need to see a bit more Maritz. She is slightly more established than Laura for me personally, but I've just enjoyed seeing her back and up and running. I mean, she gave it a rule.
It was a bit
on Sunday.
It was a bit harem-scarum for the first 15 minutes, because obviously she's got McCabe, who is not naturally a right winger, and Chelsea target her. So Arsenal's way countering that, which is we're going to double up on the left side. And I thought Ford and Catley combined, I think Walty sort of shift over as well, were just immense. And you see the Ford played like a player possessed. She was rolling defenders, jinking through defenders. I mean, we'll get on to Kim Little, I'm sure, later, but Ford had that element of press resistance, that she was worming out the spaces, and suddenly Chelsea couldn't handle it. And the beauty was then is they committed more numbers to the left to deal with it. And then suddenly, when we just were able to, and all 3 goals, I mean, we were really going left, but all 3 goals came from the right. And it all came from, we drew the Chelsea to one side. Suddenly, it's a quick switch across, and then it's attacking from the right, and there's numbers. McCabe and Lottie Mornham suddenly had space to attack. We didn't have space again. We had about 3 chances which were sort of in transition. We rarely got space actually at the Chelsea defence, and the equaliser came from that. I thought it was very clever from Kim. There's a bit of talk about the placement of the free kick, but the fact is we're not ahead of the game line, obviously, because it's so far back. I don't think you can really sort of criticise it. And it was alert and sharp and quick. And at the weekend, we were very slow with the ball moving it around. It was very easy for Chelsea to get into shape. It was quick, it was sharp, it was ping, ping, ping. Suddenly, Leonardo Samano was running at a backline that's all out of shape, panic defence, and the ball fell to Stina. And what I loved about this goal, and I mentioned about this Twitter, it was pure instinct. There was no running onto it. There was no taking a chance, no thinking about it. It was, right, first contact, bam, and that was it, goal. We saw she had to hassle the ball, win the ball, get the ball, think about where to put it, and she lost her composure. This was, right, I've just got to connect with this, and it's a goal. Obviously, helped her dive the wrong way. Not for the first time she's going to do that. And it was a great finish. And, of course, we were all ecstatic because we'd actually scored a goal. That Stina had scored a goal, which I always thought something was going to happen with Stina, but just the narrative. I know football's not scripted, but it felt like the semi-final, she was going to do something. And that thing, then the whole game that switched. And we absolutely ran them ragged pretty much the rest of the second half. I think Chelsea had, maybe 2 more chances. I think there was another cross that I think her headed wide, and then Stina slightly blocked her copybook by almost playing the perfect through ball through to Kerr. But thankfully, we had Williamson and Rafa, who I thought were immense at the back to stuff one out. But other than that, there was never any sort of response. If anything, the more efforts came from us. But
100%. We were actually turned up. I mean, Matt, do you think that first goal had to shut up Stina's critics as a number 9?
So I'll just go take it a little bit further back. So that first goal in the first 2 minutes, I look at it and thought, right, okay, what the fans did. No one around me. Everyone was like too shocked to move. I'm sitting there going, come on, girls, there's only been 2 minutes. Come on, get yourselves up. We can do this. There's plenty of time left to get ourselves back into it. And from there, it just looked almost as if it was almost. I kind of feel like it was kind of planned at the time. Just let them score, because remember last season they scored first. What happened?
Man City
won. And Chelsea, it's happened again.
Oh, is that 2 finals in a row now? Is it that they've lost?
2 Conti Cup finals in a row. They've won 2 and lost 2.
But yeah. I think when you look at Stina as well, Adam's right. She needed something, and it was almost like, I don't know if she was listening to Wrighty's House and the call to arms, or whatever. I don't know if it was the fans during the warm-ups. I don't know what it was, but it just felt like there was nothing to lose, and because we had nothing to lose at that moment in time, she could keep her head calm, and she could be as composed as possible. That's what you want to see. Last week, she ended up blasting it over because she overthought about it. Well, I've mentioned before against the game against Zurich, where all she had to do was flick it above the goalkeeper or either side, and that's it. Instead, she blasted it out of her face in the group stage of the Champions League, and it's more of that is needed. So for Stina to get 1 goal, and then obviously 1 was chalked off.
Yeah.
But she needs to get consistently going now, and hopefully this is the way. I don't want to say to her, oh yeah, there was Stina's back there, blah blah blah. She's got to do it consistently now, because although she is our only striker at the moment, she needs to be in amongst the goals. She got 1 as well. We got Kim as well. We'll probably talk about that in a little bit. And once again, Rafaela on the score sheet, although it went down as an own goal in the end.
Which I'm sure also we'll get to. But on Stina, that was the best. And we were saying when I left the game, it's the best game she's played for Arsenal. I mean, she chose her moment well to have that game, but it just felt like a moment. It's like, no, and it felt with the rest of the Arsenal team after going behind. It's like, no, we're not. This isn't going to happen to us again. This keep happening to us. No, we're going to be the ones that change it. I mean, in the Conti Cup final, we lost to Chelsea a while, but that was an early Beth England goal. And we batted for the rest of the final, and we got a late equaliser. Obviously, Beth snuck it. This time, crucially, we got the goal early. It's likewise with the cup final. We went behind to Ingle, had loads of chances, didn't take him. The moment we got that goal, it was like suddenly it seemed like, right, we believe now. The team just like, we can do this. We've got them. And I watched the first half back recently, and it's with the bunch of replays. It's incredible just how quickly Chelsea's composure collapsed. There was so many unforced errors at the back. I'm not saying about just literally you see them give the ball away, and we know Jonas plays this high intensity, high pressing style to try, and the amount of times, and I think what helps is because Arsenal pressurised the defence so high, and they got so, and then Millie Bright's having to make last-ditch blocks as crosses are coming in. Bright had a great
I've got
game.
to admit, some of her defending was superb from what she did save and block. So
Bright.
I can't take that away from Millie.
Bright is a brick at the back. She's a brick wall, but the fact is she was so overworked so early on, and just it's just crank up that screw, and then the mistakes slip in. The Arsenal stepping in, there's balls coming out, Walty stepping in, turning the pressure back on them, and it just cranks up and cranks up and cranks up. And then we had obviously then the next goal, and I felt that the time between Kerr scoring and us equalising felt longer than the rest of the half, just because of the anxiety.
Do you know what? The longest moment for me personally was that penalty for Kim. We're sitting there, it's just ticking and ticking. It was like we were sitting in slow motion, even at that added injury time. I was like, hurry up, because there was no clock in Crystal Palace for me to keep an eye on.
No, well,
because if I'm not sitting in the clock and I can see the clock, take note of the time, and I can time it, like see how long it is, and not knowing how long you've got left is a total nightmare, honestly.
The move to create the penalty again was brilliant, and there's great when you watch it back. It's a throw in. Ford rolls the defender, did that all game, rolls the player on her, breaks into space, played through, and then McCabe. I don't think McCabe maybe has a great season, and she's playing on the right. It's not her best position, but because of the work I've done prior, suddenly she's got space, and she has this amazing flick. It's a great flick out to Maritz. Maritz has no one near her. It's just oceans of space, and I've never seen Chelsea so wide open. It's incredible. Gets the cut back, and it's just clever from McCabe just to switch the ball so quickly. Ingle in a panic's coming back and shows a real lack of composure. A player of Ingle's quality, I wouldn't expect her to do it. It's such a careless mistake just to swipe in, and it's panic. It's pure panic because they know Arsenal are on them, and just sweeps McCabe's legs away. Now there are two strong penalty shouts, and we thankfully got this one. The other one was just farcical how they didn't get caught.
The other one was absolutely fast. That was right in front of me. Buchanan completely went for the ball, but she clipped Caitlin on the way out. That was a penalty. That was a Stonewall penalty. It was. I know you guys will agree with me with the Arsenal hats on.
Yeah.
But I was speaking to some Man United fans on Twitter, and they said they don't know how Doyle didn't give it as a penalty.
Refereeing was so inconsistent. It was like he wouldn't give anything. I was sitting there thinking, is this a handball match or is this a basketball match? The amount of times there was handballs, or they were going around pushing and shoving, kicking each other out. Honestly, you could have looked at that clock. If that was like I know it's a bit different, but if it was like a men's game, even if it was Sunday league, the referee would have been putting out cards left, right, and centre, because it's unacceptable behaviour. And that's from professionals.
There was a lack of yellow cards. There was certainly some tackles, especially I know Bright slid in quite heavily on one and got away with it. There was lack of yellow cards, and the interesting thing with the second penalty shot, I was a bit ambivalent because I thought maybe Ford had leaned in, and I thought we kind of got a touch it. You watch the replay, and you can mentally feel the contact. You can feel, you can actually physically, it's like when a controller vibrates in your hand when you're playing a video game. You can literally feel it. There was Buchanan swiped into Ford. You know what I mean?
I get that.
I thought you were going into a direction there.
No, but a video game could, like a PlayStation. Do something, and it was like that. You could literally feel physically feel it, and no, didn't give it. And that was a bit of a blunder. Although they did a bit of ass on TV, and I think the angle the ref could see it was a bit, it wasn't a good view. But crucially, they got the first one. The first one's a stone ball penalty, and there is no player you would want more to be in that position to trust to do it is Kim Little. And she did say after there was a bit of psychology because she'd obviously taken a penalty against Chelsea before. Obviously, it was Musovic in goal then. That was at the Emirates.
Yeah.
And, the moment you saw Berger fly the other way, just calmly, and then suddenly it's like it's on now.
In the same direction as well, which makes it even more perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know, right? Okay, Kim's going to put this right into the bottom corner. Yeah. Be left or right, it's going in. It's going in. We know that for a fact, and that was brilliant to see. And to be honest, for her to get player of the match, huge. Honestly, there were so many of them that all of those players gave 9 out of 10s. Yeah, I won't say 10 out of 10s because usually unless you get like a hat trick for
Yeah.
every or something like that.
Yeah. Oh,
But
completely solid. 8.5 to 9 to me.
Every player stepped up. Every player stepped up and to the mantle, because it's been said many times, we've got big players absent, and it's like when you've got to compensate for that. Don't use that as an excuse to not have a good game. You've just got to work even harder to compensate that. That the players you would usually rely on to get you over the line aren't there, so you've got to work an extra 5%, extra 10% to compensate for that. And everyone stood up. I was saying there was a bit of a harem scarum on the right with McCabe and Moritz with Chelsea early on. They had the running of that. Once Arsenal got that fixed with their tactical shape, everybody was there. Everyone was snapping tackles. Rafa made a brilliant tackle. I think it was on James. I think it might have been on the right, or Charles. I think it was. Just slid in, took the ball. Volti, Kim Little. I said she's like a bar of soap. She's press resistant. She'll have 4 or 5 players all on her, and she'll still squeeze out and get the ball away.
She is the Santi Cazorla, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
She is.
Her with the ball, you can't take it off.
And she's getting better with age. And my one concern is I think she's in her 30s now. Yeah. She's brilliant, but at some point we need to make sure that we have somebody who can step up to her mantle. Because and like when we lost Miedema, if Kim Little gets ruled out for the rest of us, I mean, we can apply this to a lot of players actually, but certainly Kim Little.
Right. While you're saying this, I just need everyone to know I am touching wood that this does not happen. Because that thought scares me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We've seen.
It's bad enough that we lost Leah Volti for a couple of games, but I can't be losing Kim.
And we lost Kim for a couple of games, and because of that, we lost at home to Manchester United. She is so integral to how we play. She controlled that midfield. It does help that Chelsea don't have a midfield anymore, especially when they made some some substitutions by bringing off their number 10, Kankovic, and bringing on defender in Buchanan. Quite frankly,
how many times do you need to replace the right back in a game?
No.
3 times Emma Hayes replaced the right back.
They were swapping fullbacks. They were subbing fullbacks. For me, Emma Hayes just panicked. She knew that, and I thought
I loved it.
And it was
her conference after the game,
it was really embarrassing. But the moment Buchanan came on, I thought we've won this, because I mean, look, no offense to Buchanan, I'm sure she's just a great defender, but she has not settled in the WSL, and she
gave away the penalty against Liverpool.
Exactly, and she should have conceded a penalty in the final. She has errors in her, and I don't know if she's meant to be one of these ball playing sort of centre halves that can bring the ball forward. But she's just not consistent enough. I mean, Millie Bright is having to play on her weaker side to compensate for the fact that Buchanan can't play as a proper left side centre back. So, and when we had the Emirates game, it was clear that we were targeting her. And so I know obviously I think Hayes brought her on to switch to sort of a back three, and they basically we'll use James and Curran behind and just bomb balls to them but of course. It takes time to obviously get that sort of tactical in place. I mean, she'd already changed it once. She suffered when I think Berger went down for her injury that generated 4 minutes of added time, which we're very much grateful for.
That was the other thing she was complaining about when it was own players doing it.
Yes, I know.
That was just. I found it really ironic. I felt like I had to say. You need to get your own house in order before you start throwing stones at ours.
People inexpensive.
I mean,
shouldn't.
You see Katie going to kick the ball and you jump in front of it. That's a dumb way to die. Do you know what I mean? I think I saw a TikTok of her and of Katie in her Ireland shirt,
and then goes on headset again, and then she's chasing forward. That was fantastic.
That was the free kick, because we were behind that and we could see her. I mean, that was you sort of thinking, this could be top end out of nowhere, and suddenly it's 2-2. But you could see McCabe talking to Manu and waving and gesticulating and getting that whole thing sorted. And the moment the kick came in, she is charging straight at the ball, takes it flush on the face, and then and that was just the energy Arsenal had. They had the energy, they had the intensity. But it was not like random. It was planned. It was like it was clear. And this is why the owners were so happy they played the same team. Every player knew what to do in every position. Every time the ball was loose, someone was coming in to mop up. Every time Chelsea got a tackle and the ball came free, Little was there, Volti was there, keeping the ball, turning it back over, going again, and it was absolutely relentless. It's the best 45 we've had probably since Lyon. And it's so out of character to anything we've seen before. And half of us are thinking, where's his performance been? Where has this performance been for the last 4 weeks? Like,
Well, do you know what? I just hope the girls can pull it off the second game before the end of season.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
need to see it again. I want to see it again.
Absolutely.
I
This is the
really,
turning
really
point
do.
now. It really is the turning point. They've got to make sure that Man City did it last season after winning it.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure that we do it now as well, because obviously we've got the game against Liverpool tomorrow.
Yep.
But now we've got that out of the way. But Liverpool are a bit different. They've also got to come to terms with everything going on as well, because they're not in the best shape themselves.
Yeah.
They're landing a bit down at the bottom. There's a high chance that they're not going to get relegated, but they'll still want to try and take those 3 points.
I think Leicester, I think we can all agree, are probably the ones to go down.
I would say it's more likely to be between Brighton.
Yeah, because they've just got their manager up there again. So, yeah. But
I wouldn't be exempt from saying Reading as well, but for some reason Reading seem to find a way at the moment.
they always do. They are stubborn. But then we had obviously the added time, and I was talking to the person next to me when that corner came right at the end, and I said, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if we just pinched an extra goal just before the half-time whistle? Because we knew, because we worked like you sort of check. No, well, this must be the last kick of the half. It's gone on that long. And thinking, and Chelsea don't concede from corners. Chelsea, we've tried many times. It doesn't work. Millie Bright will head everything clear, and I know that Jonas has got a new set piece coach. So obviously there's something they've been working on, and we've experimented with short corners come in, and the delivery's been.
Their set pieces are looking much better. I don't know if you guys noticed. I thought they were extremely better already.
With some good ones at Liverpool when Volti got that volley. They ranged it so that she could be there to strike on a clear out. But they chose the perfect moment to get the perfect ball in, and it was just deceptive enough that Berger thought that she could get a fist to it. And that was the big mistake. If Berger stays on the line, the ball sails into her hands and to her grasp, and she sits on them and fakes another injury for 5 minutes. But crucially, she thought, I can get this. And Rafa's up there as well. I think Charles and Ericsson all went for it at once. And just from where we were, just suddenly it's like, hang on a minute, something's happened here, and the ball's in the net. And it's like, oh my goodness, we're actually 2 goals clear of Chelsea now. We know, it's not like the Emirates when we're clinging on for a 1-goal lead.
Yeah.
Suddenly we have a margin. And even better, there was no time to respond because the half-time whistle immediately goes. There was no time for them to get a sneaky one back at us. And it's like, oh, hang on, we've got 45 minutes to see us out. I was predicting a 1-0 like type 1-0 2-1 contest, but it was like, what? Can we end the game now? I mean, do we need a second half? It was exciting enough as it was. I mean, what can top that?
I was slightly jealous of the Chelsea fans at the other end. They had all the goals to themselves. Obviously, we got Kerr's one, but they were all up in the Chelsea end. You could also see Leah's mum's flag above them, which was absolutely beautiful. Little pockets of Arsenal fans, but I'm like, girls, you got to come score down here where we are.
We had a Chelsea fan in our stand as well. We looked across. There was like 2 Chelsea.
We had little groups, and I couldn't really help myself. I was like, "What do you think of Chelsea?"
Yeah,
and of course the Arsenal fans obliged. So.
Absolutely.
Which I do appreciate. I just couldn't help myself. I was sitting there thinking, you shouldn't be sitting down here anyway. You should be elsewhere. I'm sorry, but
it is what it is.
Exactly.
And then the second half was just, it was just brilliant game management.
It was. Do you know what I've got to say? Rafaeli had what a game she had.
Yeah.
I know there was a couple of minutes where she was scrambling, but she was blocking the ball anyway. I couldn't see it from my seat, but I didn't see this until it was a replay on the BBC. And like she even though she was like sat on the floor, she's still scrambling to block the ball, and it was brilliant.
I was thinking about this earlier today when we had the FA Cup final. In the second half, they had 2 counterattacks I think they're multi counterattacks, but the 2 goals that Kerr scored were all on counters, getting through and scoring. And I think back, our defensive pairing then was Lotte Wibben-Moy and Yen Beattie. Now, this isn't a personal attack on those 2. They're great. They're great defenders. Lotte's a very.
That game still gives me nightmares.
Yeah, Lotte is a very young, promising defender. Great person, and it's gonna be great. Yen Beattie is a legend. Unfortunately, that defensive pairing just didn't work. They weren't compatible. You compare that to when we had Leah Williamson and Rafael Souza at the back. They could contain the potential counters that certainly first half that Chelsea had. Now, in a weird sort of ironic twist, the second half was basically what we had last weekend, which was we just sat deep, and it was Chelsea obviously trying to pepper us, and they just couldn't get through. And and again, I'd put down to Kim Little, I put it down to Leah Volti, the way they marshalled us, and in truth, we should have scored more. We've seen the ball come our way, so there were some really good counters.
Caitlin going through on goal a couple of times, Victoria Palova coming on through.
Yeah, that was I was hoping
and praying.
I wanted Palova to score that, but she just I thought she set herself, and then the connection wasn't great, and I just think that just needed to be a powerful drill across the goalkeeper to the bottom corner, and then that's an amazing goal, and it wasn't to be. And yes, we should have had a penalty as well. That's well documented. But I think again, Stina as well. I mean, that all came from her. There's a great clip where she gets the ball on the halfway line. She's tussling with Millie Bright. Millie Bright wins the ball off her, but she doesn't stop. She doesn't give up. She's straight back in and wins the ball back immediately. Gets a tackle.
It was fantastic.
It's moments like that, and it's like that is the Stina we want and need. That's the Stina that is going to lead the line. That tenacity on the halfway line. Now it might be different against low block teams like Liverpool and West Ham, but Bayern Munich won't be a low block. They'll be coming at us. That's the kind of tenacity we need from a player like Stina. And I've said it before, so again, I thought she was amazing. And it just shows a bit of confidence will go a long way. So again, we've got to hope we keep her fit. But the second half, I mean, the only stress I experienced second half was just staring at the clock, because I was watching it in 2.5 minute blocks. Just okay, right, well, we're 5 minutes in, we're 10 minutes in, okay, it's all fine, it's fine. 30 minutes in, Chelsea have put on another right back to try and shake up the defence.
That's literally the worst thing you could actually do, is sit in the stands and watch him the clock in a final.
The scoreboard was right opposite me, and I'm looking up, and that's all I can see is 3-1, and the clock just slowly ticking through. Shout out to the scoreboard for showing 4-1 for about 1 second when we got that.
Yeah, that was absolutely glorious. I remember seeing it. I was like, let's go. Okay, we've got another goal. Thanks.
But then of course you counting down. We brought the subs on. I think Palova came on. I thought she looked very exciting. She is still raw, but I think there is promise there, and I think she could make the right, if she gets up to speed. I think she could show a lot of promise on the right wing. Obviously,
what I would like to see. Sorry, Adam, to cut you off there. But,
sure.
If she does start against Liverpool, I hope she scores, and I mean that in the nicest way possible, because that's going to build her confidence.
Like Tina.
She had the opportunity twice to score, and unfortunately, she didn't pull the trigger one time, and I can't remember who took the ball off her, and then the other time it was just blocked. But if she can get in front of a goal against Liverpool and she can score, I think that sets her up quite nicely. I think we're going to see as well, just on that second half. I was looking at it, and Chelsea was trying to do those long balls. Half the time they were sliding out over the end of the pitch. Half the time they were sliding off the pitch. It was almost as if to say they didn't want to be there anymore. It was to play.
Well, this is the thing, because they don't go midfield, it was just direct to Sam Kerr. We rely on the individual brilliance of Sam Kerr and Lauren James, and ordinarily that will work. I mean, we've seen it in countless WSL matches because they are that good. They can do that.
From Kirby Evil, which probably also meant that changed a lot of their game plan as well.
But again, we were defensively competent enough because we had something to defend, and we just able to shut out anything that Emma Hay threw at us. My only concern of the second half is, I mean, managed brilliantly, didn't give a sniff, but just the lack of clinical on the counter, and I just feel those moments, we will get those moments in other games, and we need to show a bit more sort of sharpness and clinicalness in those moments. Obviously, it was irrelevant because we had a 3-1 lead. But do
you know what? I did fancy a 6-2 on Sunday.
Oh, it would have been nice.
I remember the Chelsea fan, the Arsenal fan, like the kids out, and he asked, "Oh, what's the score going to be?" And the little Chelsea fan turned around and said, "Oh, it's going to be 3-1 to Chelsea." And by that time, it was already 3-1 to Arsenal, and I was sitting there killing myself laughing. He did predict the score right, but the wrong way around.
Actually, I can go one better. I was sat with Charlotte Stacey from on her side in the pub, and the photographer, I forget his name, and I do apologise because he's friendly on Twitter.
Was that who you were sitting with? I kind of said hello, but and then
honestly, he's a really nice guy, and we spoke to him, and he was doing the photographer pitch side stuff. He's actually a Chelsea fan. And I asked him, I said, what do you think the score's going to be? And he said, I think it's going to be 3-1 Arsenal. He said, I know. And he messaged me afterwards. I said, I told you so. I said, have you got any more predictions for the upcoming Arsenal games? I could really use them.
Yeah, and I'm kind of kicking myself as well at the moment. So I called all the goal scorers, regardless of what Sky and BBC say. Rafaeli got their last goal, as far as I'm concerned. I did say I wanted Stina goal. Stina got us through for the semi-final. We've got that. I said Kimmy's going to get one, and then Rafaeli. I wish I put some money on it.
And actually does have is our top headed goal scorer actually this season.
Who is, sorry?
Yeah.
Rafaela.
Oh yeah. She got Man City and Spurs, didn't she? She nodded a few wins.
Yeah.
She knows how to get.
She's great area, and that's what caused the own goal. It's just because of her presence. That's what's caused the confusion. And suddenly you had two defenders swarming on her, and they just lost the worst time. Well, best for us, but worst time for them to concede. They just lost their composure. And that, I mean, the second half obviously was a different game. Chelsea can say, "Oh, we maybe dominant." They had a fluky one that hit the crossbar. I think Mane did be well, and I think Mane had a few good saves as well. But again, it was like
she had brilliant those closing minutes. Those saves were absolutely impeccable.
Yeah, but it was like us at the other weekend taking long shots because they weren't cutting us open. They weren't getting in behind. They weren't getting crossing. So it was just Lauren James and Cuthbert. And like Sven just having pop shots from range, just seeing maybe we get a chance in, and Manu was equal to it. And then he gets the clock and you see it's 8 minutes, it's 5 minutes. There's been added time, and then he gets that glorious moment. But the game's not won, but you know for a fact there is no time left for Chelsea to get two goals to force extra time or 3 to win, and it's just
yeah. But we all know how they can conjure those goals out of thin air. That's the problem.
I know, but I was thinking.
It didn't happen though.
Cup final.
I think that's what I'm reveling in at the moment.
The fans could sense it. Like as soon as it was like 5 minutes to go, even before the added time, everyone was just like cheering, everything like that. Even when they were trying to get forward, they were just. I think the fans set the precedent that day. A lot of them.
Yeah, it was definitely both ways. Definitely, the more that Arsenal got better, the more the fans and it just built up and built up. I mean, I thought we were actually amazing. There's some brilliant chants happening, especially some at Chelsea's expense, and obviously you can see the fans sort of leaving. Sort of near the end, they knew that the battle was won. The only way the game was going to flip is if something stupid happened, like a penalty or a red card, just something against the grain that would have flipped it. But no, discipline, better game manager than we saw against Man United at home, better game manager than we saw against Chelsea at home. That's what we've missed, and that we thought was brilliant. I was saying about the enjoyment of it. Cup finals aren't an enjoyable experience. They're some of the worst football matches you can go and watch. And you can't enjoy them because they are so stressful. The only time they're enjoyable is if it's 3 minutes to go and you're 5-0 up. I mean, the only cup final I think I would have.
I'm gonna have to completely disagree with you. The only cup final I've been to and we've lost was Chelsea and Arsenal women at Wembley in November. Every cup final I've been to, including the men's, we've won.
Did you bring?
I feel like I'm lucky in that sense.
We should also give a shout out to your hat. Did you bring that hat to the FA Cup final?
Yes, I did.
So it does. Oh, so it does. It's not.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. It wasn't cold enough. It wasn't hat season then.
So
no.
If you brought the hat, we should make a note that Lottie brings a hat to every game, and every game she wears it, we win. And she brought it to Crystal Palace. So the fact that we lost the FA Cup final, you can blame on Lottie for not bringing a hat along.
I wasn't wearing hats at that time. That's really uncalled for. But I know I've got my new addition to my hat as well. With the badges they gave away at Man United, I think it was, with the programme.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I kind of nicked that off Leah's mum. She's got all her badges across the hat, and I thought, I quite like that. I might have to build my own collection. I've officially ordered the Beth Mead's badge. One of Beth Mead celebrating her goal from last season. So
NSN5.
Yeah. I got a couple of pins off Tim for the girls. Most of my badges are all they're all men's related. And I thought I need to add some of the girls to this collection. And you don't really see the women's badges out and about around the ground.
The supporters club do have some, but you need to go and Adam will know Rachel, but if you can get in touch with Rachel has like a huge amount of badges. You've seen some of them on my scarf, the one of Leah Volti, and they've got ones of Leah Williamson and things like that, and especially one of Maria, which goes to the NSPCC, one of the chosen charities as well. But also, it would have been her 82nd birthday funny enough, this time last week. So before the service.
Yeah.
So
What a birthday present that would have been for the girls.
What a fitting tribute. And
exactly.
My only regret of the game is because of the stress of it, I couldn't enjoy it more. But then when the final whistle blew, that was just pure ecstasy, just pure joy that we've finally got this monkey about. I mean, 4-year trophy drought. I mean, obviously the men's was worse with 9 years, but that's the longest we've ever been without a trophy, which is madness.
Well, I'd say about 3 and a bit, because we're not quite through this year.
Yeah, fourth season.
I wouldn't say 4. That's a bit mean. That's a bit harsh.
But certainly our first trophy since the 2019 title. And, we've had a few cup finals and a few close runs. And it's just the pressure's up for me now. The pressure's off this season as we get to going forward.
Yeah, but the question is now, for me, is the title charge on?
I think we just left ourselves a bit too much. But I think a top 3 charge.
Yep.
League Cup, Conti Cup title, a top 3 seasons of success. That's it. That's all we've got to do is get 3rd or 2nd. And I think that's easily doable. I think Man City and Man United are going to probably potentially might tail off soon. They've got to play Chelsea. They've got to go to Chelsea still. We've got to play Man City at home and Man U and Chelsea away. And if we play like that, if we play as we did on Sunday, then the players hopefully stay fit enough to do it, we can give them a game. We just got to. It's that consistency. I'll also say this is the first time I've been to a cup final in Arsenal for trophy, and it was an incredible experience. I mean, I've had a few bad ones. That was the first time I've been to a cup final and actually watched and just seeing them lift that trophy. I mean, I was close. I didn't cry like I did at the Euros final, but I was close to. I couldn't believe we'd actually done it, and just performance. I was so proud of the team. I was just so proud
I think we all were. I mean, obviously, I was on the opposite side to you guys. I had all the Chelsea girls in front of me, and I was sitting there thinking, I didn't feel bad at all because it's just nice to get one over on Chelsea. But you could see how gutted they were. At one point, Sam Kerr went over to Steph and Caitlin and said, "Oh, congratulations!" She didn't even smile, and them two were just absolutely beaming. All of a sudden, a few people behind me, they're better than you. They're better than you. Even when they're jet lagged, they're better than you. Like obviously implying to Steph and Caitlin, which I thought was quite funny because Chelsea were dishing it out last week.
They were, and Emma Hayes does that. She does. The players, they do dish it out. I mean, Emma Hayes is very quick to lay in on Arsenal. I mean the post-match pressers. Some interesting comments about Arsenal haven't won that much. Apart from the European trophy that you so crave, and a couple of League Cup titles and league titles and FA Cup.
But was this trophy our 50th trophy this now? We've had 50 trophies now, I believe. We've hit 50 trophies.
We are now.
And Emma's quite a few behind from what I've read.
That she was actually the we used to help out Arsenal. She's part of.
She forgets her roots, and I think that's one of the key things that irritates people. And she comes across. I understand she's done loads and loads and loads of stuff for women's football, which we will be eternally grateful for. But her attitude, it stinks.
You can tell.
Arsenal shouldn't be wasting so much time, like when they get fouled, and it's like, did you see how long Berger was sitting on the floor? You
can. I know it's obviously heightened emotions and losing a final that you probably thought you would win because obviously.
But this article came out like a day off, this morning.
Yeah.
And it was on the Athletic. I was really irritated with that because you don't need to be saying things like that. Like, you need to address the problems that within your team, not blame others.
Yeah, I find it odd. You look at Jonas. Jonas turned around after the Chelsea game that we lost the previous week. He turned around and said, "Right, okay, hands up. That was my fault." That's what a good manager does. He turns around and says, "It's my fault. I was the one picking the players. I was the one picking the tactics." And whereas she has no accountability, and I do wonder if she ever got the England job, what would she?
I hope she doesn't, because I won't be going to watch.
Although it would mean that she's no longer Chelsea manager, so swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, that is it. And I think when I was watching the BBC, the new manager was there, the new owner of Chelsea was there watching her. So I think the pressure was on for her that day, I should say.
Well, let's hope her form goes the same way as Graham.
The thing is with him, he's a bad luck charm. Every time he's gone to watch his team, they've lost really badly. So I've got to say thank you to him for turning up, I guess.
I think Matt is absolutely spot on, though. I always say you can judge more by a person by how they react in defeats than victories. And we've seen with Jonas, he's very quick. I think he's much better articulate in explaining when things have gone wrong. When we beat Emma Hayes, for example, at the Emirates, What was the reason for the defeat? Oh, it was because there's no VAR and we need VAR in the game. And if there was VAR, we would have won because of that. Okay, Beth Mead was offside. Fair enough. But that's not also the reason why Viv scored and why Beth also scored another goal and why they, let those moments happen and then had 20 minutes to equalise and failed to do so.
Yeah.
There's no shame in admitting that your team lost and you got tapped to get whipped. But there's so much pride within Emma Hayes and look, she's a great manager. She's done great things with Chelsea. You can dress it up how you want, and women's football would not be where it is now in this country without Emma Hayes, because she's dragged the club herself forward by sheer force of will, by basically forcing everybody to either invest or leave, and someone else will come and challenge her because she's been that, she's led from the front. But there's also this sort of this all around of thinking, well, I'm perfect. I'm amazing because I am Emma Hayes and I've done all these great things. And if bad things happen, it's not on me. It's the players. The players weren't working hard enough. The players didn't try. The effort wasn't there from them. Or the VAR. We need VAR in this game. We need technology. We need this because it's not me. And just got to own it and just say, look, on the day, that the better team won. And well, she did admit the better team won, but just. There's a pettiness to it sometimes, and the way she also doesn't win gracefully as well. It's just.
I think petulant child comes to mind when it comes to these interviews and
before we do forget
and these articles, and it's just like, okay, you've lost, get over it, move on. You've got to play Man United this weekend. By the way, I hope Man United absolutely spanked them one because
there is that, but then Man United might win the league, and no one wants to see that.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Can they both lose or draw?
Yes,
between both of them.
Draw would probably be best. Just going back on the Emma Hayes stuff, just quickly. When it was the game at the Emirates, and we were giving Vic Akers his badge of thank you for your service, and a VIP badge, if you will. He was very Jonas-like. He was very composed in how he was, and he was such a gentleman. I know it's a bit ugly term and a dinosaur sort of way of thinking, but the way he conducted himself off the pitch is what I would imagine has led this team to carry on. So people like Leah Williamson has carried that momentum forward, not just in the way they're winning, but be gracious in defeat and when winning.
100%. I mean, that's very much
Manu's
Arsenal.
First trophy, Leah Volti's first trophy. There's so many of those players that haven't witnessed a trophy yet, and those photos right at the end where they're with the fans and Manu's conducting Sweet Caroline.
Manu was she celebrated every goal. She was running every time we scored a goal. She was running right at us and roaring at us, and it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, lifting her arms, making us like sing louder, and
She wanted to give us a hug.
You're absolutely right, Matt. About 4 players. I think we had 4 players, or 5 players who were in that team were also in the title-winning team, and about 2 of them started the last Continental Cup final. We've had such a big turnover of players. Exactly, and now this is their first, and hopefully it's the first of many. The 2018 Conti Cup kick-started the Joe Montemuro era that won us the league. Sadly, it tailed off afterwards. Hopefully this Conti Cup can provide a similar impetus. I do think the league's gone this season, but there's no reason why we can't win. If we get the players back fit, there's no reason why we can't kick on again. And they'll want more now. They've had that taste.
Oh no.
And they'll think, right, this is a club going somewhere now. This is a club.
As well, we got another game tomorrow, isn't there?
And the Chelsea hoodoo. That's another. I mean, I know we beat them last season in the league, but it's another defeat against Chelsea. And it's like, no, we can beat them. And and I said it before. It's all about belief. We know they're good enough, and now they know they're good enough as well. Now they know they can do it, and it's just it's now doing it again and again and again and again until the season is over, and just to see how high we go. If we finish 3rd, great. 2nd, great. I think the title may be too far. Even if we finish 4th, but we push it all the way, we've still got the Conti Cup in the back pocket. It's now just have fun, enjoy the rest of the season, and just 6. What?
Let's talk about 6.
Oh, and just 6 titles. Yeah, just have fun and go for it and do us proud, just as you did on Sunday. And we'll be there at Meadow Park. I'm going to be there. You're going to hopefully be there, Lottie, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Let's give them a rapturous reception when we get home. Conti Cup champions. We know what we are. Chelsea get battered everywhere they go, and let's just let's give the players a proper reception because they absolutely deserve it, and we'll always be grateful for that.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Keep it going, absolutely. This is the first of many.
Oh no, definitely. I mean, I think our support as a whole this season has changed. We're so much noisier.
Oh, it's amazing.
Due to a certain group of fans, which is appreciated.
Kim was
Chelsea fans anywhere. They were just flag waving.
Kim said
no, they were on the sides. I occasionally heard Chelsea. You know the chant. They've only had one chant. But
so quick say, in a post-match presser, Kim was very quick to thank the fans, and in fact, a lot of the players have done that as well. They're quite. Thank for the fans. You're amazing, and a lot of the players recognise the effort we're putting in, and I think that speaks volumes. And I think, and again, it's a two-way thing, and I think it's only going to get better as with the trophy now. It's only going to snowball further.
I think Sabrina did miss out on a trophy, on a medal on the day because they gave one to Beth. But to be honest, I'll be asking for another medal for Sabrina because she's basically carried us to the final.
Yeah.
So
get for Gio because she should have one as well. Just make one for Gio and we'll give it to her. And that's our.
I saw Gio with one actually. I thought they all got one.
Oh, well maybe
Gio shouldn't have got one because she was cup tied. But for some reason, I don't know if it was BBC. They put it down as she was on the bench, which didn't make sense.
No, it didn't because she did warm up on the pitch, but then I spotted she had regular trainers on. She wasn't really warming up.
No.
So I was like, "What's she doing here?" But it just shows you how together we are. Even if though she's not playing,
Beth and Viv were on the pitch as well, and then sort of warm up. They were intermingling and showing.
Yeah.
And
Beth was down on the pitch at half time. All you heard is the corner by the tunnel. Mido. You didn't even have to look for her. You just knew she was there.
Yeah.
I kind of do wish that we did stop Vinay before he went in, though, just when we were outside the fan park, just to say, thank you, because essentially he's the one that's been there week in, week out.
Yeah.
Right? He was there. We didn't even know where he was, but he was among there.
He was sitting next to Howard Webb and his wife.
I
can confirm that on the BBC.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They zoomed in. Apparently, Howard Webb's wife is a referee as well.
Yeah, and she's like,
they must have interesting conversations.
Yes, she is managing women's refereeing. She's like, making change in it. So they're both head of like refereeing bodies. I mean, imagine the discussions about getting to a
their household must have some interesting conversation when it comes to refereeing decisions.
Do they go to VAR when they're deciding, who left the door open on the way in? Well, let's go back to the
who left the dishwasher open and all that. But you know what? I was lucky enough to get a photo with myself, Melissa, and Macy, who unfortunately you couldn't meet up before the game because they were travelling around Wembley. We got a photo with Alex Scott, and we went champion. There's champions, and Alex joins in as well. It was, and it's just we've created so many memories now, and we've got things that we look forward to now. We've just got to make sure that we carry it on. We've got to learn from the Joe era and just carry it on now because I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game, that's for sure. And
definitely.
Adam, the photo that you've got on Twitter of you just arms in the air, almost as if you're saying it's almost like it's got all the emotions my Twitter one from that Lottie took. And
do you know what? I think that's a close second. Yeah, I think he's frozen again. He can
all
probably
the emotions. There we go. I think he's going to.
He'll come back in a second. Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely on par for sure.
That's the emotion that all Arsenal fans had at the end of it. And
yeah, no, it was such a brilliant. Don't get me wrong, it was a bit out the way. One of the most out the way from where with most of us were travelling down south. Oh, he's back.
Sorry about that. The Wi-Fi in the hotel decided to do a reboot mid-call.
Oh, lovely.
Okay. I just want to say shout out. I don't know what you're talking about, but just shout out to Katie McKay for getting drunk and drinking the champagne out of the trophy.
That wasn't champagne. That was Chelsea tears. Let's just get that straight.
And non-alcoholic champagne, apparently.
Yeah, she thought it was non-alcoholic. That was brilliant as well. I haven't, like I said, I haven't heard any of these interviews yet, but these are things that you look forward to after you won things. You look forward to the after interviews and things like that. And Kimmy was doing photos and as well after her interview. Unfortunately, didn't get that far, but it was a fantastic day. I think we all had a lot of fun. We all enjoyed ourselves, and we all got back safe. Although Melissa got back at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's very
And
long
that's
day.
driving from South London all the way to the Midlands. So
Not good, but worth
with
it.
directions.
Not good.
Yes,
Worth it
when
though.
you-
Worth it.
It wouldn't be worth it if we didn't bring it back, but we got that trophy. It was ours.
Trophy, and hope I don't know if they're going to do like a showcase or something at Meadow Park, or if they're going to. I'm sure they'll reference it somehow. I don't know where it will sit now, but we've got to do another Emirates Stadium tour. We have to do an Emirates Stadium tour to see it in the
Exactly.
We have to go back.
Exactly.
I mean,
And there should be another chunk of history going up in the museum. We're going to have to move some of the men's stuff aside because the women's section is so small.
Wouldn't it be great if they could put it up on that banner in the Emirates Stadium? 2023 Women's Conti Cup.
Yeah.
It's interesting now that it's no longer a giant tire anymore. It's now a proper trophy.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, that's Again, and I'd say I don't know how much more we're going to talk about this, but in terms of Jonas, I know Jonas has come into a lot of criticism about is he the right manager? Things about happening bad. The fact that he has been able to do this, just not having his best players, because there's an element of like masking. Is it a case of the fact that Beth Mead and Meadham are so good, covering the fact that maybe Jonas isn't a great manager, or are Jonas' tactics the reason why? I think we've seen here Jonas knows his onions and has got the team playing despite its shortcomings in a way that has beaten. I think we will say they won the WSL last season. They're one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team in the country. If that is not proof of his resume of he is absolutely the right person for his job, then I don't know what else is. And I hope that this kicks on a successful reign of more trophies under him, because I think he's going to take us far.
That photo with him with the trophy is almost as iconic as your one, actually, because it's that relief, isn't it?
My one's not iconic. Moronic, more like, but not iconic.
But you just see it in his face. He's so happy. And then you look at someone like Lily Bedford. She's only been here 2 weeks and she's already won a trophy. And I think she's going to have a huge tutelage underneath Jonas. And I think she can only get better. If, for example, Jonas leaves in, say, 3 or 4 years and Lydia Bedford's going to be the manager to replace her, that's a perfect replacement right there and then.
Yeah. No, definitely. I completely agree with that. But hopefully, he'll still be here in 3 or 4 years. Especially if things are going to continue the way they have been. I'd be quite happy to keep him.
Love Jonas. He's got so much time for fans and things like that. I always go back. I'm sure I've mentioned this so many times to both of you.
Gave a fan his coat.
Where I spoke to Jonas after the game against West Ham at the end of the season last season. I said, "Don't apologise for what you said. You gave us a roller coaster ride. No one expected us to do anything, and you brought us so close. Next season we're going to go again, and we'll make sure that we get something out of it. The fans are with you." And he's seen it properly this time, because the women's sport, the atmosphere has gone up 100 times, and that's not just down to the Euros. It's down to Arsenal playing the Arsenal way, and Jonas has really brought the Arsenal way back from what we knew and loved.
I think this is going to be like Arteta's FA Cup. It's given him clout. It's like, there you go. I've done this. I can do it. Now let's kick on.
Yeah, but Arteta hasn't won the League Cup. There's a difference.
Well,
hang on. May is just on the horizon. I'm not counting my chickens. It's on the horizon, game by game. Come on. I mean, we're not Man United. We've not talked about winning the league yet, and then kind of just lost to a kind of 7-up, But
let's see what happens. I mean, I know it's obviously a women's podcast, but I think Arteta, if he doesn't win it this season, he'll be winning it in the next season or the season after that. It's going to happen at some point. He is that good. I hope it's this season. And I think we'll win the WSL, maybe not this season, but the season after that, we're going to get better, providing we get the recruitment right and we continue to improve. And the team, chemistry. There was chemistry today. We didn't have that in the last few games. We have chemistry, and that is so crucial. And I hope
that's down to Kimmy Little being a doctor.
Yes, and an MBE. Congratulations, an MBE doctor.
Yeah,
well played.
definitely.
Someone had to.
No, as someone who loves a pun, I tip my hat to you, good stuff. That was very well played.
Yeah, I think Matt's after your job.
Yeah.
Adam, as King pun maker. You could always nick his title, nick his Stat Matt off it.
Yes.
Stat Matt. So yeah, no. But that is it. That is everything for tonight, boys. Thank you for joining me. Don't continue partying too hard for the rest of the week. We go again tomorrow night. If anybody does want to watch the game, it will be live on arsenal.com tomorrow. As we take on Liverpool for the WSL. And we shall see you, we'll be back on Friday to sort of review the game. I know we didn't get to talk about Liverpool very much, but trophies tend to take priority. So
right.
we will see you all on Friday.
Yep.
Enjoy the game. Come on, you Gunners.